When I first came out west, I drove all around, exploring the awesome, but also awful and incredibly creepy prairies. I mean, where can you drive for a solid hour and not see a single person, a single living thing, other than a distant bird of prey, riding a thermal high in the sky? One place I explored was Roche-Percé. The Roche-Percé is a sandstone rock formation, weathered into strange and unusual shapes by wind, snow, and rain. It is a natural landmark and was a rendezvous point for the Northwest Mounted Police on their trek out west. Some of the early Mounties even wrote their names on the rocks, all of which has faded away. Too much snow, too much sun, too much wind. We came there in the early spring, when there was still a bite of winter in the air. The rock formations radiated a prehistoric weirdness that completely captivated my imagination, as I tried to imagine how they must have appeared to the first redcoats back in 1874. It was then I noticed the skull. It lay in a natural depression or niche in one of the huge sandstone boulders, the skull of a small animal, possibly a gopher or a vole. It gleamed whitely against the weathered ochre of the rock and looked like it was put there deliberately. Put there deliberately to tempt someone to pick it up. And, of course, so I did. I felt a thrill of energy, a blaze of white and pinkish light, and then everything became dark and obscure, and I slowly realized that I was in my bedroom, and it was night. Not that I was seeing things through my own eyes. Instead, I was observing myself through a pair of eyes which seemed to hover somewhere near the ceiling. I was alone. The eyes watched as I got into bed and grabbed a book off the bedside table. The Collected Ghost Stories of M.R. James. I somehow knew which story I was reading. It was There Was a Man Dwelt by a Churchyard. The little skull lay on the bedside table, shining whitely in the warm glow cast by my reading lamp. I turned the page, and then my perspective changed, as it does so often in dreams, and I had just started a new paragraph when I became aware there was something at the foot of the bed. My initial, shocked impression was of something tall and thin, a being 8 feet high, emaciated and covered with bark? Bark and grungy matted fur? The spindly legs were bent backwards, like an animal, and the fingernails were long and sharp. The eyes were black and seemed to radiate a cold and cosmic darkness, which penetrated my soul and almost stopped my heart. What was it? A Wendigo? A Skinwalker? A Fleshgate? A Manitou? It pointed a black and bony finger at the little skull, and I knew instinctively that it wanted it, and I never should have taken it. I reached for the teeny skull, and it was upon me. I felt the crimson burning agony of claw and razor-sharp teeth, and everything went blood red, then black. Are you all right? My girlfriend had grabbed my arm. Everything was spinning, and I was unsteady, as if I was drunk. What's wrong with you? I don't know. I just had a vision. I didn't add that I had been looking at the skull, which sat primly in its niche. I'm driving home. Well, for once I didn't argue with her. I told the above story a few days later, talking with Jarrett as we threw back a few lucky loggers in my backyard. I think it was a warning to leave the skull where it was. It must be some kind of totem or something. Huh. Oh, you're so full of it. I suppose you would have picked it up. Sure, I don't believe in that paranormal crap. Well, I bet the skull is still there, so help yourself. As if I'm going to drive 3 hours to pick up an old skull. Ah, but he did. I had forgotten our beer talk when I got a frantic late-night call from Jared. You remember that skull down at Roche-Percé? We were talking about it last Thursday. Vaguely. I remember it vaguely. You gotta help me. There's something in my house, and it wants to harm me. What? I went down to Roche-Percé and got the skull. You did what? That little animal skull, the one that gave you the vision. I took it, and now there's something in my house. I can feel it. It's always watching me, and sometimes it even talks to me. Huh? What does it say? It says, whispers really, that I've broken a taboo and have angered the spirits. Worse, it seems to imitate my voice, like a bad tape recording. And then it whispers, I'm gonna die. Have you seen it? No, it's always at the periphery of my vision. But I think it's getting closer. I'll be there in 10 minutes. I didn't fancy driving the dark rural roads of southern Saskatchewan in the pitch dark, but there was no choice. Jared was waiting for me at the front door and practically dived into my passenger seat. Have you got it? I asked. It's in this container. Okay, let's go. And hope whatever you've offended finds this to be acceptable. We hadn't gone far down the benighted Highway 6 when I heard Jared gasp and then say, There's something outside the car, outside my window, and it's running along beside us. And it's keeping pace with us. Whatever you do, don't look at it. What is it? I don't know, but I'm not going to speculate. Just don't look at it. Just look straight ahead, like me. 'Kay? We drove south through the all-encompassing darkness, both of us staring straight ahead at the road, as illuminated by my headlights. I was concentrating on my driving, but I still almost lost control when our mysterious companion leaped onto the roof of the car. Gripping the wheel with white-knuckle concentration, I found myself worrying about whether he, or it, was going to scratch the paint. We're being threatened by a paranormal entity which could tear us to pieces, and you're worrying about paint, I said to myself. It was enough to make you laugh, but I didn't find it funny. I was too shit-scared. It took us over 3 hours to reach our destination. In the gathering gloom, the low, dense cloud cover veiling any light from the moon and the stars. We sat a moment in the car, both breathing heavily. I said, When we get out, we walk directly to the spot as quickly as we can. Keep your eyes on the ground and don't look around. I'm going alone. I don't want to get you into this. Screw that, I'm already involved. Quit arguing and let's go. I'll bring the flashlight. We stumbled up the trail to the rock formation, eyes glued to the path. But even though we didn't look around, we knew we weren't alone. Something big was moving parallel with us, following at our heels, just a spring away. I didn't want to look around, didn't want to see eyes maybe glowing in the shadows. We finally reached the spot. Jared put the skull back in its original position, gently, reverently, and the moment he did so, we felt a sense of calm, of peace, descend upon us. I couldn't see Jared's face clearly in the darkness, but I sensed he was smiling. I'm safe. We're safe now, he said quietly. And then it was upon us, the crimson burning agony of claw and razor-sharp teeth, and everything went blood red, then black. Black!